So a lot of people are actually saying this guy, specifically the Super Saiyan Goku, that is the transformation for the Dokkanfest God Goku, is underrated, right? A lot of people think that people are undeservingly giving him slander, and his, defensive abilities and stuff like that is a lot better than a lot of the community's thinking. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look here. Actually, a lot of you guys on Twitter here, what do you think about the new physical Super Saiyan Goku part of the new God Goku? We're gonna go into that, but first let's go ahead and explain what exactly this Super Saiyan Goku portion does. Obviously, still a new unit, so I feel like a lot of people are unaware of what this guy is doing. So, this guy, obviously, well, his leader skills is going to be the same, right? But what he gets is he gets guaranteed crits for the first 3 turns to start a turn, and attacks effective against all types starting from the 4th turn. Now, this guy, at bare minimum, you get on turn 5, so he has his guaranteed crits basically from turn 5 all the way to turn 8, and then from beyond there, he will have super effective. Probably like, turn 10 beyond, you're not really going to see. And the current most difficult content besides Broly, really. He gets 159% attack and defense start of turn. 100% attack and defense when attacking. So this is essentially just a pure 100% double buff than what we see start of turn. He gets a 70% chance to evade before attacking. And then he has an additional that has a high chance to become a super attack. So I think a lot of people's issues, and even mine when I'm just, we're just looking at this unit on paper, this great chance to evade before attacking. I think that's where a lot of people's issues do lie. Because, well, a lot of us have used Tech Pan, for example, and you could clearly tell. There's just something much like Pan. She always gets super after her damage reduction, and it's just a little annoying. But the difference between this unit and Tech Pan, I feel, is that this unit is going to be really used as a finishing unit at the end of battles, while someone like Tech Pan you have much more frequently. So there's been an argument where people are saying, well, you're not really going to see this Goku kind of get obliterated like Pan would, because not only is his defense overall higher, he has this raise on top of that. He also does get the stacks from the Super Saiyan God Goku here, because he does actually permanently stack attack and defense by 20%, right? So you're able to really see that in action. I mean, let's say, for example, let's pull out the trusty calculator here. So his main stat, just to take a look at some of his numbers here. He's at this amount. If it lets me, doesn't let me copy and paste. Okay, never mind. So we'll do some math for y'all, right? We love Dokkan math real quick, right? So he's under, obviously, a 200% leader skill. So this is the 200% there. Then he's gonna get, let's say, again, he has the 159% attack and defense on super attack right there. Bam. Then he's going to be getting, on top of that, let's say, I believe he'll get, 5% defense from having prepared for battle. So we'll go 5% extra defense there. Then we do take into account, I believe, his stacks. So this would be, let's say he gets 5 stacks from his Super Saiyan God form right there. And then he gets, let's say he gets his 2 super attacks off, right? And then on top of that, he gets the extra 100% defense on super. And then he's starting like right there, 953,000 defense, which, that looks pretty good considering, again, you get 5 stacks with this guy. I feel like that's not unrealistic since the Super Saiyan God form does super attack basically twice a turn. And then he's getting 2 super attacks as well from his Super Saiyan form. You have to keep in mind that the stacks also add together with this. So it's not separate, which is why I calculated the stacks and this 30% together. Keep that in mind. So I feel like people would look at that and be like, that's pretty solid defenses, right? In some situations, you would get one shot by bosses with this level of defense. But again, usually that's not going to be really that big of a case. Isn't that like also not considering any support or anything? But regardless of that, right, we did see, again, a lot of people had an issue with this video that Truth did point out, where if you take a look right here, the Super Saiyan Goku, again, he did some solid damage, right, but a lot of people were upset at the damage he took from the super attack, and, but what Truth said, that's a whole separate thing, right? But some people were like, okay, I should have brought this up here. I wanted to bring this up because, again, a lot of people really were focusing on this today. So Super Saiyan Goku right here took this 424,000 super attack from S tier Nova Shenron. Now, a lot of people also, again, were not really impressed with that. Some people were actually impressed by it though, and I'm actually going to tell you why a lot of people were impressed by what this damage was. So if you take a look at the Shadow Dragons, you know, STR Nova Sin Shenron, I said Sin Shenron, but it's Nova Shenron, I'm an idiot. He does 952,000 damage. Now, a point a lot of people were making was, hey, this damage was not really that high. It's under a million. Bosses do 1.2, 1.5, 1.8 million damage, right? Like that, taking 420k even from a boss like this is a little not great. And I would kind of agree if that was type neutral. But you have to keep in mind this is type disadvantage. Now you may think that there's not that big a difference, but there really is. So if you take a look at this nice little chart made by someone on the Dokkan subreddit, we could see that the opposite class and type disadvantage, because again, they're not the same class, it's super versus extreme, and yes, type disadvantage, it actually adds basically a 1.5 times multiplier to the attack that Nova Shenron is doing, which again is 952,000. So if you take a look at that, 952,000, Nova Shenron is actually hitting the Super Saiyan Goku for 1.4 million. So that means that Super Saiyan Goku in this situation had to have had basically, again, the 950-ish K defense, like calculation that I did earlier. He basically had that level of defense when doing this, and he was able to eat that super attack. And again, let's think about like Red Zone Broly, who does 1.2 million damage. He would take less damage from Red Zone Broly than he would against this Nova Shenron. That type, again, disadvantage is a big deal. If a triple supered, he would be able to still eat a Metacooler Core super attack for like what, 500-ish K damage or so, right? He would basically take an extra 100k from here, which, you know, concerning this team is pure and hybrid Saiyans, right? We see this team, for example, this build has 600k HP. You would be able to live that. Now, again, it depends on your other units taking double-digit damage from normals, but if that Goku got super, the Super Saiyan Goku, theoretically, he would actually live that, right? And a lot of us do understand that Metacooler Core is one of the harder bosses that, you know, hit very hard in the game. Now, against, like, the some max boss event that hits for like 1.8 mil, he would just die, right? In this situation, right, he'd still take over 1 million damage. But that, I just want to kind of give you guys some examples of different bosses that are very hard hitting in the game, at least the hardest hitting bosses right now, and tell you how that Super Saiyan Goku would do against it, just as a general standpoint. Whether you think this is good or not, that's obviously at the end of the day your opinion, but just to give you guys some numbers. And let's take a look at some of the comments here and see what some people are thinking. Let's take a look at the quotes real quick. He's doing what Ajo Trunks and Janemba failed to do. Instead of being a bad transformation like the buff 2, he feels like a dedicated nuke instead. Really underrated, especially when he could do a lot of damage while tanking. Yeah, you have to. I actually kind of agree with that, because again, this attack stacking plays directly into the active skill that's used. The active skill is a guaranteed crit. And you have to keep in mind, it's not just the damage he's doing when he's transformed. The active skill damage also counts. It is a lot of extra damage you do have to really consider, because you have to get the active skill to get into the Super Saiyan Goku. And then on top of this Super Saiyan Goku, I mean, we saw in the video he was doing like 7-ish mil attack sets, right, with 30% support. Not really too many stacks. I believe Truth got like, what, 4 or 5 stacks again. Just the usual kind of stacks that we saw there. Yeah, I mean, was doing pretty solid damage considering the guaranteed crits and effects, right? He could triple super potentially. He's doing some nice damage overall, this Super Saiyan Goku. I was looking at the God Goku, but you guys get the point, right? I do agree. He's definitely more damage based, but I think his defense is better than people are giving it credit for, if I'm going to give my personal opinion. You think of him as a finisher with the active skill being tied directly to the amount of stacks God Goku has. He has guaranteed crits and 70% chance to dodge. Yeah, I mean, if I was being completely honest, I would rather take a 50% chance dodge before and after attacking rather than just a 70% before attacking. But again, this guy is meant to be finisher, so at the end of the day, if you use him to finish off the enemy, it's not that big of a deal, especially if you're not even running him in slot 1, then it doesn't really even matter, right? But that's the thing, like, I don't know. It just, this is something that reads wrong because of Tech Pan, but this is a unit you're going to get to finish the enemy off, not a unit you have to use every single turn like Tech Pan, right? Feels good. It feels like a part of his path is missing. To elaborate, he's good at the end of long events, but it feels like he needs something more, even if it's restricted to movie bosses or something. Yeah, I mean, I see that, because like if you look at his passive, it's like small compared to like what we're usually used to, like with a lot of these units, right? Like this God Goku has way more fluff to his passive than the Super Saiyan Goku. This Super Saiyan Goku is very basic but good, right? But because like there's literally like, I think like there's not as much text as other units, so it makes him feel like he's missing something, which, you know, theoretically, yeah, he's not really technically doing, like, you know, orb changing. He's not guarding additional supering. He doesn't get this extra attack building up, right? He doesn't get the extra orb, you know, little thing right here, right? The extra attack and defense and the evasion with the orbs, right? He's straightforward. So I feel like a lot of people are kind of like maybe looking at it that way, and they're like, well, you know, he feels like he's missing something because he's really just attacking and evading. But at the end of the day, that's kind of all he needs to do, right? As a finishing attack, just enough damage to finish the enemy off. I feel like most either over or underrate him. The part of him is going to be divisive. I agree. I do think that some people are making him seem to be a little better than he really is, especially if you get unlucky with how stacks go on or something like that. And again, there is going to be a lot of situations where you transform this guy to finish the enemy off. He gets 2 additional normals, doesn't kill, and then he gets super attacked and he dies. I think that will still be something that you can see. Not gonna be like mega common that you'll see if you play your cards right, but it is possible. And obviously not every unit is going to be perfect, but that is something you can really think about, right? Like, that's a weakness that this God Goku doesn't really have, right? He'll still do some solid damage, and he has his guard and stacking, right? I mean, this is not going to be hard to get even after the intro runs out, because you have Path to Power Kid Goku, you have Tech God Goku you could use as a floater, right? There's a ton of orb changers. That it doesn't have to necessarily be this guy that is creating the orbs. And abusing him as a friend, thank you. I hope not. He's solid for a unit with just raw stats and gets the job done, not as bad as others say. Yeah, I feel like this is pretty much just my thoughts, right? He's good, right? He's good enough. Well, some people were like a little over the top with him. I think he's generally a little underrated, right? Fun, unique design, never using it, undertuned. Yeah, I see. Only times you're going to watch the scene, or when the enemy's on his last leg, and you know Goku can kill it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like again, this is the point of him. You use him to finish off the enemy. Just fine, not as defensive as God Goku, obviously, but still more than enough to handle the job is. Okay. Yep, that's pretty much it's there. I don't get why they made the part much worse than God Goku. Yeah, I think that I would probably most of the time choose to remain as God Goku, because I just like the overall consistency better than like going full out damage. Even though I feel like a lot of this, you know, the game is really pushing more towards a lot of damage focused teams, I still like the guard here. This God Goku is still double supering, triple supering, and then he's gonna keep stacking. And yeah, I think if I had to choose, unless I 100% know the enemy's gonna die, I'm obviously gonna stay as God Goku. God Goku's better with guard, decent. Yeah, mid is supposed to finish off a fight, but he won't even do that. No, he definitely will be enough to do a lot of damage to the boss. But it's really going to be something that we see when we, all of us actually try him in game. Not looking at, you know, initial private server video showcases. I think once we actually all use him, we'll get a better idea. But yeah, that's pretty much it here. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the Super Saiyan, specifically the Super Saiyan Goku portion of the new Dokkanfest God Goku. If you're wondering, again, in case you got to the end of this video, the actual unit does drop 2 nights, 11:18 p.m. Pacific time. If you go to dokkaninfo.com/schedule, it's there. In my video I made earlier about the exact time, if you go to that video, I kind of go more into depth about it, and I also leave a link for you guys to go ahead to get the exact time here. So feel free to go ahead and check out that video if you just want more information. But I guess it's here on the screen if you're in Pacific time, right? But whatever. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.